Hello, so today I wanted to show you the left-handed version of the two-colour classic granny square pattern that we've been using. So I'm going to start with two different types of wool, two different colours of wool. One is the lighter creamier colour and the other one is sort of the variegated different coloured, multicoloured wool here. Now this wool is quite small and slippy, so I'm going to be using a 3.5mm hook. Do feel free to use whichever one you're comfortable with or whichever one you have to hand for practicing and for your wool type as well. So we're going to jump right in and start with the pattern. So I'm going to take my lighter coloured wool to begin with and create my slip stitch. Pulling up a loop, pulling both the tails together, and then pulling the one that's attached to the ball of wool to tighten that knot onto the hook. So the first thing the pattern's going to ask us to do is to chain 4. So we're going to chain 4 first, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch we make to create the circle that we're going to be working in. So from here, get my attention, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll see that was our slip stitch that we started with, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 chains there, and the one that's on the hook does not count. So to create this circle, what we are going to do is do another slip stitch into the first one that we created, so the one next to the knot, the furthest one away from your hook. So you're going to do that by taking your hook and going into that first stitch there, and then from there you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through the stitch you've just been into and also through the one that was on your hook. So what you'll see is that's created a ring. Now don't get confused with the space that's automatically created with the stitch that you've gone into there. It does look quite large, but that's not the one that you're actually going into. The one that you'll be going into is this one here between my fingers, right in the centre of the wool. Pull that a little bit for you. So we're going to be working into the centre there. If you need to place a stitch marker just so that you know which one you're working into, you can do now, but do remember to remove that before you finish the round as well. So from here, the pattern asks us to start on round 1, and we start on round 1 by chaining 2, and that's going to be the replacement for the first of the 3 treble crochets that's going to go into our cluster. So from there, we are going to go 1, 2, and now we're going to then place 2 treble crochets into our center ring here. So treble crochet, we are going to yarn over, go into that center space right here, straight through the back, yarn over, and we're going to pull up a loop through that center space, which you can see just there. So we've got the loop pulled through the center space, the yarn over that we did originally, and the loop that was on our hook. So from here, we are going to yarn over and pull through 2. So we have 2 left on our hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 again. So what we have here is we've got our original chain 2 there, and then we've got the first of our what would be our 3 treble crochets. So we're going to do our second one now, yarn over, and we're going back into that center loop that we've just worked through. Yarn over, pull up a loop, so we've got 3 on there, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So what you've created there is your first of the 4 treble crochet clusters for the first round. So what that is there is one of these here. into the center ring. So what we need to do now is we need to make our corner, and you'll see from the pattern it's going to ask you to chain 3. So the chain 3 space is going to be the corner that we will work the 2 treble clusters into on the next row. So we'll go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to be doing another set of 3 treble crochets again into this center space. So that is our second of our 4 treble clusters. So we're going to another corner. We are going to chain 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to work our next treble cluster here. So that's our 3. You can move it around if your chain starts to get covered, but there's 3. So we're going to go ahead and do our second to last corner and do another set of 3 treble crochets. So we have our 4 clusters there, and we just need to finish our corner. So it's going to ask us to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then what we're going to do is we're going to join it with a slip stitch into the second of the chain 2 that we made, the second stitch of the chain 2. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but what we've got there is we've got our first chain and our second chain up there. So we're going to try and grab both parts of the V. So without yarning over to do a slip stitch, we're going to go straight into this stitch here, and you'll see I've taken both parts of the V on there. We're going to yarn over, and we are going to pull through both of them on our hook. So that's through that one, and then we are going to pull through that one as well. A little bit trickier for me doing this left-handed, but hopefully you've got the idea. So that is the first round completed, and we're going to go on to round 2, where it's going to ask us to start by chaining 4. That might be a little bit confusing because we actually started off by chaining 2. However, I do find that for the second row, a chain 3 replacement for a treble crochet, and then the addition of 1 chain to make 4 to go over the chain space does work quite well. So hopefully this will make a little bit more sense as it goes around, or when you remember what we did from last time. But we're going to start with a chain 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start working our treble crochet clusters into this corner here. So the pattern's asking us to into the next chain 3 space, or also the corner space. We're going to work 3 treble crochets, chain 3 to come around the corner, and then another 3 treble crochets into that corner space before we chain 1 to work on our next set. So that's our first treble cluster, and you'll see when we put the slip stitch in that later, that is actually going to stand up that way as well, rather than looking a bit like a dog leg. So we'll chain 3 from here. 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to work back into this corner space here by doing another 3 treble crochet cluster. So that is our first corner worked for the second round. And now again, because we only have to come across this treble cluster and we're not on a corner, we will just chain 1 to finish that off. That's going to take us to working our next corner space here. So we're just going to repeat what we've just done twice more for this corner and this corner. And then I'll join you back when we're going to start in this last corner here. Okay, so we're back round now and we are coming to our final corner space. So we're going to carry on much in the same way. I've done my chain 1 already. So we're going to come over and start our treble crochet cluster of 3 on this side. Then we're going to go ahead and chain 3 to go around the corner. And then because we already had a replacement treble crochet here with the chain 1 attached, we're just going to do 2 treble crochets back into this corner before we join it with the slip stitch. So what we want to do is we want to leave 1 chain space for the chain 1 across. So we're going to go into, if you can see there, this one here. Let's sort of see it from the side as 1, 2, 3, and then a chain space. So I'm going to go straight into this one here. Yarn over and pull through both 1 and that one, and that's created our slip stitch and completed the second round of our pattern. So to fasten this off, which is what the pattern calls for, what I tend to do is try and pull that stitch as tight as I can, then go to do a chain 1, pull it quite loose, and then if I just grab my scissors and snip the tail, what you want to do is just carry on pulling that all the way through, and then you can just neaten that up by pushing it down, and that is round 2 completed. What it's going to ask us to do in round 3 is join with a new colour using a slip stitch into any of the chain 3 spaces. So any of those 4 corners, you can start where you like. I do tend to start at the one before I fastened off, because what I try to do is actually do my treble crochets over the work with the tail. So when I'm going to do my treble crochets in here, I'm going to try and catch the tail as I come round. So that actually secures it more in the work as well. So what we'll do is we'll grab our new colour yarn. So with your new yarn, create your slip stitch, cross over, don't do it too tight because we're actually going to be working with that and pulling it through into the corner. So you want to go straight through the corner that you want to start with, and then you yarn over from the back, and what we're going to do is pull straight up through the corner, and then we're also going to pull through the slip stitch that we started with, going through both. Now that's quite loose at the minute, so however you want to sort of tighten that up and pull on that, make that nice and neat. So what we're going to start off with on round 3 is we're going to do a chain 2 and work 2 treble crochets and then chain 1. So what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be completing this side of the final corner, so just one side of it, which is why we're only putting 1 treble cluster in there. So the chain 2 is going to be our replacement. Treble crochet, 1, 2, and then we're going to go ahead and work 2 more treble crochets directly into that corner space there. Okay, so if I just sort of pull that around a little bit, you might get a bit of a better idea. So that's going to be the top part of that corner. We're going to carry on from here according to the pattern in the same way that we were working on the other rounds. So when we're not going into a corner, we're just going to be chaining 1. When we're not creating a corner, we're just going to chain 1. So we're going to chain 1, treble crochet cluster into this one, chain 1, and then we will start our corner of 3 treble crochets, chain 3, 3 treble crochets, chain 1, 3 treble crochets, chain 1, and the same again with that corner. So I'm going to go all the way around and I'm going to meet you back before we start our final 3 treble crochets here. So we've come all the way around now, and we're just about to start our final treble crochet cluster in here. I've already done my chain 1, and we're just going to finish this off very similar to the other round. So yarn over into the corner. This is going to be our first. This is our second. And this one is our final treble crochet of round 3. And then we still need to make our corner, so we are going to chain 3 and then join on here. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of our row here. So if I go straight into this one here, yarn over, we're going to pull through 1 and pull through 2, and that is going to complete round 3. So round 4, the final round in this pattern, again you can make this as big as you like, but to follow this particular pattern we're on round 4 now, which is the final round, and we're going to chain 4. So again, this is going to start us off with our replacement treble crochet and a chain 1 space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start working into this chain space here, which is not a corner. So we will do 3 treble crochets, chain 1, working into this space, 3 treble crochets, chain 1, and then we'll work into the corner, which, as we probably remember by now, is 3 treble crochets, chain 3, and 3 treble crochets. And then we'll continue on in that fashion all the way around and come to the last, what we'll do at the end here is, because that's our replacement, we'll do a final 2 treble crochets. So I'll come back up when we're at that final point and we'll fasten off again. Okay, so we've gone all the way back round and we're back to our first chain 4 there. So what I'm going to do is I've done my first 3 treble crochets, I've done my chain 3, and then I'm just going to do my final 2 treble crochets into the corner, and then what we're going to do is we're going to leave our chain 1 space and we're going to join with a slip stitch. And again, if you can grab both parts of the V, that is also helpful. So mine is just up here. I struggle to hook it when I'm left-handed on here, but there we go. Yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, and that completes our granny square. So what you would do is you would then yarn over as if you were doing a single chain, and then you'd get your scissors, tighten that up how you will, get your scissors, snip it there and pull it all the way through, and that will tie it off. What you can do with all your loose ends as well is you can get a yarn needle and you can basically just poke it through the stitches back and forward, however you like to secure it. You can probably see on this bit here, that is where the slip stitch joined on there. That's where it finished actually for the lighter one. And then you can see that the tail is sticking out through here. I've actually treble crocheted over that. Obviously that's the back of the work, so even from the front you wouldn't really notice, but that does help secure it a little bit. And then what you can always do is go that way, down, or whichever way you like. And especially with the magic circle, you can just sort of thread your needle and go round the magic circle and then probably back a few stitches. Secure it all in place and then you can snip all the ends off. But that is your completed left-handed granny square. So I hope you found that useful. I'm looking to do another one on how to join these together using my preferred method is the join as you go method, which I think gives it a much flatter, neater finish. So I will look to get that on as soon as possible. But I hope you found this useful in going ahead and getting on with your granny squares.